I realized I had to make another one about Mars. And I'm going to do a prediction here. I think that during the presidential term of Trump, the Americans will land on Mars. First, let me go back to the Knights of Solomon.
These knights were given headquarters in Jerusalem near Temple Mount, believed to be the Temple of Solomon, and so they became known as the Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, or Templars for short.
You have three knighthoods: the Knights Templar, the Knights Hospitaller, and the Teutonic Knights. Knights Templar are the aristocracy, Knights Hospitaller are the priest class, and the Teutonic Knights are the military. Supervisor of the three orders is the Godfather. I think Grandmaster of the Knights Templars is Trump, Grandmaster of the Teutonic Knights is Putin, and the Godfather, in my view, is Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. The Godfather has to be of the bloodline of Jesus Christ, aka Julius Caesar. After the murder on Julius Caesar, Cleopatra and her son Caesarion fled to France. The Merovingians are the bloodline of Caesarion. Through Godfrey of Bouillon, King John, you arrive at the British royals. Why Edward and not King Charles? I think it has everything to do with the overturn of the tiara in the year 1964, date of birth of Edward. So I think that Charles is the perfect decoy. While he is hunted by the press, Edward can go wherever he wants without too much attention, controlling the mob. Looking at some childhood photographs, I'm getting a Home Alone vibe. While Mama and Papa are no longer here, you are stuck with the Goyim, the useless eaters. I think we are talking another race here. Jesus the Nazarene. Sounds a bit like Nazi. Julius the Caesar. Mass exterminator. These people don't play around. If you want to know how they work, look at Gaza.
The hornets emit a chemical rallying cry, and this triggers a unique phenomenon. They no longer carry bee carcasses back to the nest. Instead, they slaughter, then cast aside the body of every defender they meet. Within the hour, 10,000 bees are down. Their stings are not strong enough.
Back to the Black Cube organization. The Knights Templar. Grandmaster Trump. Specialty of the chef. Banking and propaganda. Banking and fake news. Teutonic Knights. Grandmaster Putin. Specialty of the chef. Terrorism and space. Colors are black and white.
And we're going to be signing a very important deal today. It's Doge, and I'm going to ask Elon to tell you a little bit about it.
Department of Government Efficiency. But you have another Doge.
The Doge was a title used for the head of the state of the Republic of Venice. The term comes from the Latin dux, which means the one who leads, guides, general, chief, or leader.
We had this other Duce. The cradle of the fascists. The Roman fasces. Ave Caesar. So this is not some coincidence?
Did you know the word dictator didn't always mean a tyrant? Today we think of dictators as oppressive rulers, but in ancient Rome, a dictator was actually a legal position, used to save the republic. Normally, Rome was governed by 2 consuls, elected for 1 year, who shared power. But in times of crisis, the Senate could authorize the consuls to appoint 1 man to take full control. This man was called a dictator, and his power lasted just 6 months. His job? Solve the emergency, then step down.
Meeting of the Black Cube Organization, the American branch. Godfather Edward decides the aristocratic government will be temporarily replaced by a military one.
A significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we would have to, if you sorry.
So my guess is that the USSA is now a military dictatorship. Visit of a Teutonic general. Dear Goyim, we are going to slaughter you all. Visiting their allies. Cyan and magenta. Well, we should have known it from the Hungarian president Orban. They are always using the same pattern. They are fighting the deep state, defending the people, building walls. They have some lawsuits against them. In France, we have someone playing the same game. In the meantime, in the Ukrainian war, now if they are both from the same party, why are they fighting a war? Now we have another interesting figure, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Well, these are some nice tattoos. You have the Cross of Jerusalem, like Godfrey of Bouillon, first king of Jerusalem. Godfrey of Bouillon was the first to enter Jerusalem. When the Crusaders entered Jerusalem, they slaughtered all the Muslims and Jews. People were yelling, God wants it, Deus vult. That doesn't sound too good for the Muslims and Jews.
What this organization represents, what Western civilization represents today, is an understanding that Zionism and Americanism are the front lines of Western civilization and freedom in our world today.
If this is the front line of Western civilization, well, I don't want to be part of this.
And there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
These knights were given headquarters in Jerusalem near Temple Mount, believed to be the Temple of Solomon, and so they became known as the fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, or Templars for short.
The house of the Lord for the moment is in London, where the Godfather is sitting on the throne. In direct contact with some kind of consciousness, God. Who is their God? In my view, it is Moloch, aka Sekhmet. The worshippers of Moloch were the Ammonites. In the word Ammonites, you hear the word Ammon, like in Tutankhamun. They were worshipping the star of Remphan, symbol of crater Linnae, Atlantis, Saturn. Symbol for the sacrifice is Mithras, the ritual of the foreleg of the bull. You have Manhattan in the shape of the bull. Manhattan stands for Ammon Hathor. Remember Tony Blair, responsible for the death of thousands of Iraqis. Rewarded for that with a membership of the Order of the Garter. What is a garter? It is the foreleg of the bull. So the Order of the Garter is probably the Order of the Gutter. Order of the genocidal maniacs. So Manhattan is sacrificial ground, ground zero. Now Gaza also has the shape of the foreleg of the bull, ground zero. So this is a sacrifice for the god Moloch.
מה שלא יאות, וגם משהו שעדיין משאיר ליבו. אז הייתה מה שהוא במה ידיעתו.
But what about Ukraine? Message from Uncle Walt.
But as you can see on this master plan, the theme park and all the other tourist facilities fill just one small area of our enormous Florida project. According to this scale, I am 6 miles tall. Now that's 12 miles from here up to here, and the whole area encompasses 27,400 acres. That is 43 square miles, twice the size of the island of Manhattan.
Manhattan? What a coincidence. Remember this one? Now in Crater Earth and the Split Off Society, I explain everything about these shapes. Together they make the silhouette of Sekhmet. Now take a look at the Ukraine. We got another one. This confirms to me that this Ukraine war is another blood sacrifice. How many more beasts am I going to find? Maybe 12? First, create a temple mount. Then bring the sacrifice. With what are you feeding the parasite? I don't think it's about blood, but it's about trauma. Trauma is making imprints in time. So the first thing you need is to build a house for the Lord. A building where you can store consciousness.
Stargate will be building the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of advancements in AI, and this will include the construction of colossal data centers, very, very massive structures.
Parts of the device that you currently use to watch this video, many of those items are made from different metals. We all take them for granted. Every day we use and buy metal objects. The demand causes geopolitical tensions and even armed conflicts as countries compete for access to these resources.
M23 rebels have been spotted operating in the DRC with state-of-the-art equipment, like modern carbines, surface-to-air missiles, anti-tank weapons, helicopter gunships, artillery, and armored vehicles that are rare among East African rebels and make them appear as more of a professional army than a ragtag militia. The open secret is that Rwandan troops and their M23 proxy forces operating in the eastern DRC have been just taking over the rich Congolese coltan mines there and smuggling the coltan back over the border into Rwanda, before being exported to global markets to major tech companies like Intel.
Since his return to office, Donald Trump has had his eyes set on Greenland.
Markets to major tech companies like Intel.
Since his return to office, Donald Trump has had his eyes set on Greenland.
Greenland is a wonderful place. We need it for international security.
I would say the time is becoming right, and the reason why it's becoming right is because many of these deposits that we have are actually crucial for doing this green transition.
President Trump said he is open to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visiting Washington later this week to sign a deal that would grant U.S. access to Ukraine's mineral reserves. This is what the president said. This comes just one day after Russian President Vladimir Putin said he is open to selling minerals from both Russia and Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine to the Trump administration.
If you want to build the house of the Lord, you need minerals. But the problem is, we are running out of minerals. So where do you find them?
There aren't many classes of objects left in our solar system that we haven't looked at up close with a spacecraft. And one of them that's left is the metal asteroids.
16 Psyche is an asteroid that orbits the sun out between Mars and Jupiter.
After launch, we cruise through interplanetary space for a number of years. First, we fly by Mars for a gravity assist that'll slingshot us into the asteroid belt. And then we're thrusting all the way from there to finally arriving at Psyche.
M-type or metallic asteroids are typically composed of 80% iron and a 20% mixture of nickel, iridium, palladium, platinum, gold, magnesium, and other precious metals. Just one space rock a few hundred meters across might yield more platinum than has ever been produced on Earth, or will ever be produced on Earth.
The asteroids between Jupiter and Mars hold the promise of untold wealth.
The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Crater Joy is Jupiter. Crater Hadley C is Mars. Between Mars and Jupiter you have the asteroid belt. Let's take a look. That is next to Mars. So this could be the real reason why they are so desperate to go to Mars.
If only one country comes up with the technology first and starts mining on the asteroid, it can drastically change the geopolitics on the planet Earth.
And we're going to take Doge to Mars! How inspiring would that be?
The United States are at the brink of a financial collapse. So you are going to invest all that money to go to Mars just because it is inspiring?
How inspiring would that be?
You need a lot of money, and fast. In order to keep the illusion of democracy, you start stealing money, but in a legal way.
On my first day in office, I imposed an immediate federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, and a foreign aid freeze.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced a plan to cut over $60 billion in waste from the U.S. State Department and U.S. aid.
The tariffs.
And we're making a lot of money. We're taking in a lot of money. Don't forget, we're taking in 25% on cars, 25% on steel, 25% on aluminum, 10% baseline. No, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars while I sit here and talk to you.
Manipulation of the stock market.
He made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad. Because, he's in financial.
Harvard's pile keeps growing, but President Donald Trump could be putting a stop to it. He is reviewing government funding to Harvard. How much money are we talking about here? Around $9 billion.
As they're going to Mars, the ships would take off with, I don't know, a couple hundred tons of payload from Earth, reach orbit with almost no propellant, and then get refilled by the tanker, and then go to Mars and go all the way to Mars with over 200 tons of useful payload. Then on Mars, in the beginning, we would simply reuse the ship materials, so most of the ships wouldn't come back, but then over time, you'd want to bring the ships back so you could reuse them.
So you can fill them with minerals, you mean?
The ingredients are readily available to create methane and oxygen on Mars. So you build a propellant depot and bring the ships back and build out, as quickly as possible, a self-sustaining civilization on Mars.
But there are these asteroids.
Right.
And most of them are collected in this flattened zone between Mars and Jupiter.
Right.
And one of them has my name on it.
No!
You didn't know that?
I did not.
You did not know that?
I'm serious, I did not.
Okay.
We've been together a long time. How did I not? You have your own asteroid?
Yes, I do.
Well, I have been looking for this asteroid, but I just can't seem to find it. Can anybody help me? Please. Maybe here? In this black hole?
Neil?